ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports television, presents Speed World.
An entire racing season is packed into this final toss of the dice. During one long weekend in Georgia, the accelerated world of Cub racing writes the record book. The champions of road course racing run for a handful of room at the top. 30 feverish minutes of mind-bending concentration. An innocent handful of time that makes a year of speed worthwhile.
Hello everyone, I'm Dave Despain. Welcome to the Glory Days. Motor racing is based on mechanical things, and so technical evolution is constantly changing the nuts and bolts of the sport. But in this episode, we celebrate timeless themes. Competition, camaraderie, man and machine in perfect harmony, and those don't change very much from year to year. For proof, we take you to the Sports Car Club of America's annual year-end runoffs at Road Atlanta in 1971. Your narrator is Jim Nettleton.
462 division champions brought their rides to Georgia's Road Atlanta for the last race of the season. At the end of a three-day race weekend, 22 of them would be national champions. This was the 8th annual American Road Race of Champions. 3 days of the tightest wheel-to-wheel competition in the world. Each race during the long season is valued only as it relates to this final runoff.
All the races we attend during the year, they're important to us at the time, but they're really only a means to get here, and they're insignificant once you're here, and then all your thoughts are towards this one race.
For most of the drivers, it's like Indianapolis, or Indianapolis and everything else combined.
You don't have any other time during the year to run a race like this.
Well, I think you start sensing a little bit of nervousness a couple of weeks before an ARRC.
If you win here, it was a good season. If you lose here, it was a bad season.
In 8 short years, this Super Bowl of speed has grown from a frenetic gathering of low-budget races into a semi-professional mechanical spectacular featuring a total purse of over $130,000. Among the numerous natural rivalries featured at the runoff, competition between the pros and their amateur colleagues is one of the strongest. At the 8th annual runoff, the low-budget drivers seem to have an edge. Getting past the first lap was a major problem in F production. John Woodner survived this rodeo-style spin and was back in action 2 races later. The factory-back triumphs of number 4, John Kelly, and number 9, Lee Mueller, were pre-race favorites. But pure club racing amateurs like Ken Slagle and Larry Campbell didn't believe the odds. Slagle bounced out of action in the 5th lap, and Campbell surged into the lead, fighting to establish a pad between his car and the fast-closing rides of Mueller and Kelly. Playing catch-up in order to give themselves a shot at the title, the 2 pro drivers teamed up to tighten the gap. Moments before the pros could make their final move, Campbell took the checker. Campbell, who started 5th on the grid, was having a fantastic rookie year in club racing. With this upset victory, Michigan's Larry Campbell was awarded the 1971 Drivers Club Trophy. This was an overwhelming finish to his first year of competition. The world's tightest, most competitive racing is virtually synonymous with the American Road Race of Champions. In E-Production, the Central Division's Logan Blackburn, number 32, and Ray Crafson, 34, put on a graphic demonstration of why club racing has earned this reputation. Blackburn describes his role in the heated action.
I felt ahead of time that Ray and I probably had a slight advantage over the field, and my first objective was to get out away from the pack a little bit and kind of settle down to a pace.
From start to finish, the two front runners drove like a pair of mechanical Siamese twins, fighting for every inch on virtually every corner.
I was pressing him in different turns, trying to see where my best opportunity might be to pass him at a later date. I didn't think either one of us were going to be able to get away much from the other, so we just played along and kind of second-guessed the last lap.
Blackburn's inside move coming through the final curve of the race gave him the victory.
Luckily, I drafted him down the back straight and dove inside of him coming up the hill before the bridge and was able to overtake him there. And luckily for me, the checkered flag also appeared at that point, so my strategy worked out beautifully. We've been trying it for so long with the same car. Sometimes you think you're beating a dead horse, so to speak, but I personally would rather stick with something and get to the top and be the best before I try something else. And this was kind of my goal with racing originally and with the MG. So I'm just tickled to death about being able to win.
An icy cold front marched through Georgia as several $1 million worth of pampered machinery prepared to go racing. Amateur hour was over. And this time around, the professionals dominated the C-Production starting grid. Bob Sharp, Lee Mueller, and defending champion John Morton. Morton wasn't taking any chances and gunned his Datsun Z car into the lead from the pole position, establishing a 2-second margin in the opening lap. East Coast contender Bob Sharp, 33, settled into second place and fought to keep Morton in sight.
I was concerned with Sharp. I kept looking in the mirror, and I'd see him, and he was quite a ways back, and I was able to pull a little bit of a lead every lap. And about halfway through the race, I started worrying about the car because I realized that I had a decent enough lead that there was no way he could catch me if something didn't fail on the car. And then I started just thinking about the car. The race was no longer Sharp. The race was the car itself. I felt a little vibration, I thought, with something going wrong. But I really didn't have any problems at all, but I managed to imagine a few.
With Morton firmly in command, the real racing was for the runner-up spots, as Lee Mueller's triumph gave the Datsuns of Dan Parkinson, 3, and Jim Fitzgerald, 38, all they could handle. All this was a battle for third place. Winning is something John Morton has been doing a lot of lately, but it's one thing in racing you never get enough of.
Taking the checkered flag is about the best feeling, I think, in the world. Taking it first, that is. It's almost indescribable. It's just a real feeling of accomplishment, especially when you know you've been up against good competition. When I crossed the finish line and had one, it was about the happiest feeling I've ever felt.
I just try to tell myself, just another practice session, cool down and just drive the car like you normally do.
The nervous energy generated prior to each runoff is similar to the tensions preceding a rocket launching at Cape Kennedy. Facing this kind of pressure, B sedan pole sitter Bob Sharp, 33, used the casual approach.
I don't think the driver can operate fully to his capability when he is uptight. So And I try to stay as cool as I possibly can. I'm not always successful at it, but I try to really calm myself down as much as I can before a race and take that first lap as calm as possible, not all uptight and feeling that I got to win the race in the first lap, because that's when you do something dumb, and that's when a lot of the other competitors do something dumb. If I feel myself getting a little uptight in the first or second lap, it's just say, okay, stupid, and I just calm down, relax, and try to put together clean corners and a clean lap. Because if I can put together a string of clean laps, that's what's going to get a race won in the end.
Spending an early lead wisely, Sharp drove a meticulous race right down to the final checker, earning a solid 2-second B sedan title. The SCCA's Central Division produced the most successful trophy hunters at Road Atlanta, winning 9 of the 22 titles. In A production, Michigan's John Greenwood, 48, defended his Big Iron title in style, claiming everything in sight from the pole position to a new 101-mile-per-hour track record. Jerry Hansen, 44, the first driver to win 5 national titles, tried to make it into a race, but this time he just didn't have the horses. Taking his way carefully through traffic, Greenwood was never in trouble. Fiberglass at speed, a flood of exuberant horsepower controlled by men intent on making this final toss of the dice a good one.
The last train home. What you lose this time, you just can't win back. No, no. Your last chance is coming. Better catch it on the track. 'Cause I hear the last train coming. Yeah, here comes the last train home. 'Cause I hear the last train coming. Here comes the last train home. Yeah, hear the last train coming. Here comes the last train home. Yeah, I hear the last train coming. Here comes the last train.
John Greenwood, 2-time king of the Big Iron.
As we relive the 8th running of the SCCA's year-end runoffs, we turn our attention to the formula classes. The wild action makes this an appropriate time for the television crew to explore another timeless issue, the age-old question of race driver motivation. Let's go back to Road Atlanta.
9 SCCA classes are devoted to a glamorous mechanical dimension known as formula and sports racing cars. These open and enclosed wheeled rockets span the economic spectrum, from modestly priced Volkswagen-powered Formula V entries to the $30,000 200-mile-per-hour sports racing moonships. These powerful rockets help create a somewhat distorted image of today's race car driver.
You drive race cars? What, you want to die already?
And they probably think that anybody would go out and do it for fun, going 140 miles an hour and racing against other people, is a daredevil or a kamikaze or something like that.
We have a great respect and responsibility to what we're doing, and this is our area of enjoyment, what we like to do in life, and how we get our kicks.
A race driver is just a human being that's there trying to use his ability to put a good lap together and put together consecutive good laps.
Another thing I think about a racing driver is that he likes to do something where there's a consequence. If I'm arm wrestling with somebody or playing basketball, there's no consequence in me losing. But when you're out there racing, going 140 miles an hour, and you make a mistake or something, there's a consequence, and that makes it more exciting and more meaningful, I think.
The three-day speed celebration produced a record number of mishaps, with the Formula B runoff leading the parade. Of the 18-car starting field, over half were eliminated. The first lap blast-off made turn one into a parking lot. Mike Hansen, Bill Middleton, and Gordon Smiley ended their long seasons here in the Georgia mud. This was just the beginning. Soon they had a lot of company. In or out of the driver's seat, Smiley's luck was still bad. Al Lader, number 75, inherited the early lead with Jim Grog and Denver's Bob Lazier, number 34, in close pursuit. Road Atlanta continued to pay drivers for their mistakes in spectacular fashion. Minnesota's Howie Fairbanks escaped from this wreck in turn 5 with a broken ankle. Despite a battered front end, pole sitter Mike Hall hung on to 4th place. Closing in from 10th spot on the starting grid, Bob Lazier gunned past Al Lader into the lead, while turning in the race's fastest lap, 99 miles per hour. Reaching top speeds of 170 miles per hour, Lader and Lazier thrashed into the final second. The added risks of this particular race made winning a mixture of elation and extreme relief for Denver's Bob Lazier, Formula B champion.
Last year, there were nearly...
Welcome back to the glory days in the 1971 SCCA runoffs. After the Demolition Derby in Formula V, the Super V race was a real contrast. Virtually incident-free, highly competitive class finale boiled down to a tremendous two-man lead-swapping battle. You'll have the opportunity throughout to hear the analysis of the eventual winner, Tom Davies.
Formula Super V featured a masterful title defense by New Jersey professional Tom Davies in red number 3.
When you're the defending champion, there's 5 guys out there, really are out there to get you. Every one of them is up, so you have no choice but to be up or you're going to get blown off. Jim Harrell, who won the Ford race, when he got a lead, he said he was going to win that thing if it killed him. And I remember that's what I thought last year. I just charged like crazy. Just nothing was going to stop me. This year, I didn't have quite that same fire. I wanted to win, but I wasn't going to buy it trying to win.
The early sorting out process, Davies' Westclox Lola played cat and mouse with John Zeitler, 21, and the yellow zinc team of Harry Engel, 34, and John Finger, 33. The lead changed 2 and 3 times on every lap. as the first wave diced for inches at 140 miles an hour. Davy established his stretch run strategy halfway through the race.
While the race is going on, if it becomes a battle between you and one other driver, each one of you tries to rehearse what's going to happen on that last lap. You want to find out where you should try to make your move to slingshot by so that you can make it if he can't get you back. And you just try to sneak it in and figure out exactly where you should be when it really counts. For example, if he's coming up on you, you might let up just a little bit and he can go by you. And that'll give him some confidence and think, boy, in the last lap, I can just blow right by him. Then when the last lap comes, you keep it nailed, and he goes out, pull out, and just can't make it. But I enjoy the last lap. I mean, you sit there during the race, and if you have two very evenly matched cars, if you don't want to take too many chances during the race, you'd rather let it come down to that last lap and then, like a game of chess, make that one move. And if you're lucky, you make it.
Lady Luck rode with the defending champion. As the final lap unwound, a tactical error left John Finger parked in the Road Atlanta mud as Davy coasted to his second straight national championship.
Tom Davy is pointed to Super V. This is the second trip for Tom, as you mentioned, Ray. Right now
Victory Lane at the American Road Race of Champions.
Oh, I feel good because I have another year now that I can walk around and call myself national champion. You have to have something to hang your hat on.
Yes, it's my first year in national racing, and just too much to take in right now.
Chris tangled with whoever he was with, and I was behind him. I just, as a result of that, I got alongside Chris and passed him.
Started in 62 or 3, and I've been wanting to win a runoff ever since they had the first runoff. I think I wanted this one a little more than even than last year.
It's a 30-minute toss of the dice for 10 minutes of glory and a year's supply of satisfaction.
Gentlemen, the casino's closing soon. Better put all your money down on one last roll. Yeah, the time has come to settle up with a house. 'Cause I hear the last train coming. Here comes the last train home. What you lose this time, you just can't win back. No, no. Your last chance is coming. Better catch it on the track. 'Cause I hear the last train coming. Yeah, here comes the last train home. 'Cause I hear the last train coming. Yeah, here comes the last train home. Yeah, here the last train.
Haven't changed much in the intervening 20 years. Oh, the hairstyles will be different at this year's renewal, but the essence of the competition and many of the 22 classes remain the same. And for every Lee Mueller, John Morton, John Finger, or Bob Sharp who goes on to a successful pro career, there are 50 weekend warriors out there doing it for fun and for the love of racing. I hope that never changes. I'm Dave Despain. Join us again next time on The Glory Days.